As you can see today, we'll be talking about school life and growing up under 2 points of view, which are the Italian and Polish one, because I witnessed both of them, so I really know somehow how it feels like to live in two different, societies. And I will talk about especially the Polish school and Italian one and the teenage lifestyle. First of all, we'll start with some background information, saying that this follow information, I just wrote them based on my experiences. It means that I didn't really take any serious information. It's just what I know from my experiences. So starting with the school life, we all know that school is essential and crucial for every single child and teenager. It means that we want it or not, our school is the center of our lives for this period. And there are still very different levels of approaching school, changing from one country to another, because we all grow up in different contexts, and so we see school in a different way. Starting with the practical thing, the Italian school, first of all, is made of 13 years of studies, 5 years of elementary school, 3 of middle school, and 5 more years of high school. And there are some distinctive particularities which are into the Italian school. For example, Saturdays. Saturdays are a day like any other. It means that on Saturdays we get up in the morning and we go to school. Unlike any other country, most of the countries, in fact, don't have school on Saturdays, but we do. And it's a particular detail that we all hate in Italy. I don't know any Italian student that doesn't like to go to school on Saturdays. And also, the Italian school doesn't include any extracurricular activity most of the time. It means that as soon as you leave school in the afternoon around 1 or 2 p.m., you will go straight home, and if you want to do some sports, you can join some clubs and you can join some sport clubs, as I said. So it's mostly a private thing, and it doesn't really concern school itself. So moving instead onto the Polish school, we all know that it's made of 12 years of high school, 12 years of school, 8 of elementary school, and 4 more of high school, which is the new system. Also, the lessons here are much longer, and they can last from 6 to 8 hours a day. And also, usually they include extracurricular activities, which let you join other clubs, other activities in general, related or not to school. And it is something that is very, very weird from our Italian system, because I was not used to it, and I really needed it to get into this new system. Because it's completely different, but still very, very enjoyable. And instead, more differences I spotted from these two systems is that students and teachers have different kind of bonds. It means that in Italy, we pay respect to the teachers, of course. But here in Poland, I noticed that somehow teachers and students, at least in my school, have different bonds. It means that they sometimes laugh together. They spend time together. They sometimes even talk about their own stuff during the lessons, and they laugh, and they're more like friends, which is something I'm not really used to, but it's something that I really, really like. Also, breaks and holidays work differently. In Poland, you have the famous winter holidays, which is something in Italy we do not have. And I really liked it because I could enjoy the weather here in Poland much more. Instead, in Italy, we don't have winter holidays, but we have a longer summer, which lasts from the first days of June until mid-September, more or less. And so it's not shorter than 3 months. But it's something that we can understand because Italy is much hotter, and so we try to enjoy our summer as much as we can. And also, lessons, at least in my school, are much more interactive. I noticed that sometimes teacher, instead of following the program step by step, they decided to make some activities in order to let the students be more interested into the lessons and into the subjects, something that I really, really enjoy. Moving on to growing up, I was wondering while making this presentation if a person that grows up in a different country is so much affected during the childhood by its own culture. What I mean is that are really children from different countries like growing in a different way. So starting from the childhood, I noticed that, of course, the childhood in all of us is the most free and naive phase. It means that we don't really think about the problems which surround us every day, but we just focus on making friends at school and enjoy our day. And under this point of view, I feel like children aren't really influenced by our culture or our society because we don't really think about it. And instead, there might be, of course, some memories related to our specific traditions. For example, I do have memories with my family and friends in which we do activities which are mostly related to our town and our traditions. But at the same time, it doesn't really influence our growing up under this point of view, which is different when we talk about teenage, because during the teenage, we have to find ourselves into the world that surrounds us. So starting from the cities and the environment we have, also to the people, our friends, our family, we're really influenced by it. And at the same time, we're influenced by our society. So for example, focusing on the Italian and Polish societies, I realized that as an Italian teenager, I feel sometimes different from Polish teenagers because we talk about different topics, we express ourselves into different ways, and so sometimes it's difficult to get in touch one another. At the same time, I feel like it is very, very important to grow yourself into another context, which is the thing we are doing basically right now. I mean, we're all students here, try to see our lives, our teenage life, under another point of view. We try to see the world under the Polish point of view, if we want to call it like this. And in order to do this, you have to be very, you have to have a very open mindset. You have to be open to other thoughts, other actions and reactions, and other behaviors. And yeah, as I said, it's hard sometimes because we grew up into a different context, and so it's not always easy to see the world from another point of view, from someone else's shoes. But I think that this is very, very worth it because I mean, this is like the whole point of traveling, because when you travel, you want to see other cultures, other traditions and cities, but at the same time, you want to meet other people. You want to see how they see the world itself. So I think it does be really worth it. Also because when you meet someone else and their habits, you will get to get in touch with them. And this can grow. I mean, can make you grow, make you mature into, of course, under another point of view, but it's still important to grow into the world itself. So at this point, I would like to go to the conclusion. As I said, we're all different one from another. We have our different memories and different lifestyles, but we're all part of this world, and we can really learn from one another, traveling and meeting each other, spotting each other, and sharing our point of view. And I think that this is really, really worth it. So I hope that one day you will make such an experience. You will travel and meet other teenagers or other people from other countries, and you will grow from it because it's really beautiful. So that's it. And
so if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. Actually, I have one question. Do you have school in Italy at the same time every day, or is it maybe, you know, any different on Saturdays? Oi. Oops.
Sorry. Well, actually, it really depends from school to school. Usually, you have a timetable, like you go to school at 8 in the morning and you finish at 2 every day. But it really depends on the school, on the type of school you do.
Mm-hmm. And is it any different from Poland, the times?
Oh, yes, totally. I mean, for example, in my school, I noticed that, of course, we have different timetables, first of all. But also, like, the lessons are much longer in Italy. They last 1 hour usually. Here in Poland, they last less, and they have more breaks between them. And also here in Poland, they finish much later. So it can be at 3, at 5, at 7. So that's why it's really different.
I see. I see. Okay, thank you. If anyone, do you have any questions?
Yes, I actually have one myself. You mentioned that Polish people and Polish teenagers and Italian teenagers express themselves differently.
Yeah.
What are the major differences that you noticed?
I noticed that personally, when I talk with my Italian friends, I feel like we talk about anything like stupid or something like this because it's our way to express ourselves. And it's the Polish people really, I feel like they're much more mature under this point of view. I mean, the friends I have here in Poland talk about really serious topics most of the time. Of course, we're not so different, but still, I notice that we express ourselves in different ways.
So, dzień dobry. My name is Benjamin, and I'm from Hong Kong. So, here's my study. So today I'm going to do a brief introduction of Hong Kong. So some of you may not know where is Hong Kong because it's not as popular as Italy or other European country. So it's in the south of Asia, and so exactly in the south of China. And it's a city. So there's 3 parts of Hong Kong, which is the New Territories, the Kowloon, and the Hong Kong Island. So the Hong Kong Island and the Kowloon is the most BC part of Hong Kong, and we have a little harbor here in the middle of them. So this is the main part of what people work and they live and do many things. And so I'll do a brief introduction of the history of Hong Kong. So it was a little small village before. And there was nothing special, and people there live by fishing and farming. And it's like any other village in China at that time. And there is still a part of this fishing village remaining here nowadays in Hong Kong. And then we have the Opium War, which is a war between Britain and France against China, the Qing dynasty. And so China lost in this war. So China ceded Hong Kong to Britain. And this war is triggered by the dynasty's campaign against British merchants who sold opium to Chinese merchants. And so Hong Kong became a British colony for about 100 years. So in this slide, you can see a lot of pictures of how old Hong Kong looks like. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that look similar to Britain. You see the bus, and there's a lot of things. We have a strong British influence, and people in Hong Kong, most of them can speak English, but of course not very well. And so this is a comparison of Hong Kong in 100 years ago and nowadays. And then we have the industrial period. So at that time, so we have a lot of factories, and the industry of Hong Kong relies on producing products. But after that, China opened its market. So the manufacturers moved back to China to enjoy a lower cost. So now it becomes a special administrative region of China. And because Britain gave Hong Kong back to China in 1997. So this is what Hong Kong looks like nowadays. It is a international financial center. It's an entry port, and it acts like a bridge between China and the world. And it relies greatly a major proportion of its industry on trading. And this is what Hong Kong looks like at night. So now Hong Kong exists as a special administrative region controlled by China. It's very unique position. It enjoys limited autonomy. And so there is some difference between Hong Kong and China. So firstly, we have different law, and then we speak a different language. In Hong Kong, we speak Cantonese, but in China, they speak Mandarin. And also we have different writing. In Hong Kong, we are writing the traditional Chinese, which is more complicated, as you can see in this picture. On the left, it's the traditional Chinese, which is much more complicated. But China used simplified Chinese, which is invented for the farmers who don't know how to write traditional Chinese. So it is for them to learn it more easily. And also we have different social media and internet, because in China they banned a lot of social Instagram, but we don't have this kind of problem. Yeah. And there's more than 7 million people living in Hong Kong, so which is a lot of people. And it is one of the most densely populated places in the world. But of course, there's a lot of problem because there are so many people living in this city. So we have a big problem of housing. So we have this kind of micro apartments, which poor people can only have very small spaces to live and to raise their child. As you can see in this picture, the toilet and the sleeping room is in one small area, so it is very terrible. So we also have a high cost of living. So it is one of the most expensive, it's the most expensive housing market on earth. And it is nearly impossible for young people to buy themselves an apartment. So as you can see from this graph, Hong Kong is the most expensive housing in the world, which is much more than the second place, which is Singapore. And we have 12 years of free education, which is 6 years of primary school and 6 years of secondary school. We don't have a high school or middle school. We just combine them into one secondary school. So it's also 6 years. And this is a photo of me and my classmates in my school. And so this is what our Hong Kong students look like. So each school has their unique uniform. And so there's a lot of different kinds of uniform. And every student needs to wear uniform when they're in school. And so this is my school. And there is my school is a Catholic school. And there's one very strange thing that in Hong Kong, there is schools that there's only boys, and there are schools that there's only girls. So I don't know why, but we have this very good things. It's a very big activities during Christmas. So we have this Christmas ball. We'll invite girls from a lot of other schools. They'll come and dance with us. So this is one of the best things during the year in my school. And so, as you know, Hong Kong was a British colony. So there's a lot of British influence. As you can see here, the streets, the name of the streets are mostly come from British names and places. So we have the Queen's Road, we have Hollywood Road, we have Nathan Road, which is the name of a British governor. And so these are some typical Hong Kong food. So we have rice, we have this like noodles, We have dim sums, and they're very delicious. Yeah, and there's a lot of different kinds of food in Hong Kong. So we have Chinese food, and we also have foods from many other countries. And of course, we also have snacks and drinks. So one of the most popular drinks is lemon tea, and we also have egg tarts and milk teas and a lot of things. So the big festivals and days, we have the Chinese New Year, which is a month, which is like the end of January and at the beginning of February. And we have the Mid-Autumn Festival. We also celebrate Christmas and Easter like in European countries. And some people may not know that we also have beautiful nature in Hong Kong. So we have this geopark and a lot of islands, because Hong Kong is a city by the sea. So we have a lot of islands and a lot of different rocks. So this is a part of the park. So we have a lot of beach and mountains. So during weekends, a lot of people like to go to the park and enjoy themselves and do hiking or swimming, a lot of different water activities. So here are things we do in Hong Kong. We go hiking, cycling. So we go to the beach and we do kayaking. So we can also enjoy a beautiful sunset on the top of the mountain. And these mountains are very close to the city. So it's like 10 minutes by bus. Yeah, so it's very convenient for us to go to the mountains. And we also have like streets and very city lives like other big cities. We have and here are some famous tourist spots in Hong Kong. So we have the Disneyland, and we have the Buddha. We have many temples. And so this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. It was really nice, really educational. First of all, could you confirm the first question? How many people live in Hong Kong?
So there's like 7 million and 500,000 people.
Okay, good.
Which is quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And another question from Hannah is, how long does it take to students to learn the difficult alphabet, not the simplified one that you usually use, but do you actually learn the more difficult one, the more difficult writing?
Actually, it's not. So we learn them like before primary school. So we learn them like in kindergarten. So they're not very difficult to learn, I think. It's just like other language. Yeah, it's pretty easy for us.
Oh, okay. Both of them, both of the writing. You explained there's a difference in writings between traditional and
we didn't learn the simplified version, and because in Hong Kong we only use the traditional version, which is the more complicated one. And but in Chinese in China they learn the simplified version. So it's like two different versions, but they didn't learn the complicated one.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question is, what is your currency and is it the same as the Chinese one?
We have a Hong Kong dollar, which is like similar to the Chinese one in terms of
value.
Yeah.
Okay.
How much is one Hong Kong dollar compared to zloty, for example?
It's like it's like 1 zloty is equals to $2.
Oh, okay.
1 zloty. Okay.
Equals
Okay.
to $2 Hong Kong. Okay.
Yeah, right now I'm doing math in my head.
Yeah, now we are converting into euros just to have a comparison. Okay.
Yeah.
And what else? What is the best university in Hong Kong?
Is the University of Hong Kong.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And there are different universities, I suppose, or is it the main one?
There's 9 university in Hong Kong, and yeah. So most of the secondary students in Hong Kong go study in the Hong Kong University, but many of them also go to Britain to study in British University after graduation. It's very popular for us. So, for example, in my class, there's like 1/3 of them go to Britain to study after they graduate.
Okay.
Okay.
It's actually very interesting. This is very so. Your relations with British and Britain is still strong to this day.
Yeah.
And one more question: why the secondary school is divided for boys and girls?
Is it only the Catholic schools, or is it?
It's very popular for the Catholic school, but we also have a secondary school that we have boys and girls in the same school. So that's like 3 types of school: the girls' school, the boys' school, and the combined school. And I don't know why, and I think it doesn't make sense to divide boys and girls.
Okay.
And last but not least, we have a question. Is it possible for a non-native speaker to learn Chinese, and is it difficult?
Of course, it's possible, but it is very different from the European language. Like, because for a English speaker, you can learn like German, Spanish, or Italian quite easy because they are like quite similar. But for Chinese, it's another completely different system. Because when you in English, when you see a word, even though you didn't know the meaning, you can read it aloud. But in Chinese, when you see a word and you don't know the meaning, and you will not know the how to read it either.
That's actually very interesting. This is I suppose this is also why it's difficult for Europeans to learn how to read Cantonese or Mandarin or Chinese in general.
And what time do you usually start lessons?
What is this normal school schedule of time?
So it starts at 8. And normally it ends at like 3:30 or 4. And but in my secondary school is a little bit unique, because we have in summer our school ends at 1, and so but it's only in summer. So in winter we also go to school for a whole day, and our school ends at 4.
Okay. Thank you very much. Jakob asks, what do you think is Polish more difficult than Chinese?
Actually, I don't know, because for me Chinese is quite easy, but for me it's difficult to learn Polish. Polish is definitely more difficult than English, or even Spanish or German. But maybe it's for you Polish people is the same. It's very difficult to learn Chinese because you are Polish. But for a Chinese, it's not very difficult to learn our own language.
Of course, that's a very wise answer. Of course. Okay. No more questions from anyone in the chat for now. Did you have any questions?
No.
Okay, I have one, which is, then we can move to the Gergely, not to, I see many people interested in Hong Kong. And is there a particular reason for the differences in the uniforms, school uniforms? You mentioned there are a lot.
Yeah.
Are they based on the institute or something else?
No, they're just different design, and because so it's very common to have white or white color, and also blue dress for girls, and sometimes we may see a green also, and I think there's no black uniform, so so the style is quite similar.
Okay. Thank you very much for satisfying my curiosity. And thank you again for the presentation. It was very, very interesting and educational and very clear on Hong Kong situation. Thank you very much.
Gergo, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, hi everyone. I would like to ask you to take your phones because we will play Kahoot. So just get to the web page, write Kahoot, or I hope it's similar, you've played it, and then I will share my screen with the code so you can enter. I hope everyone is in, or we will wait a few more minutes, I think, but we should start now. The questions will be, I think I have 11 questions. These are, you don't have to be afraid. It's not a competition. It's just fun. They are sometimes really silly questions, but with sillier answers. So you just have fun. Do we wait for somebody still? Anyone trying to get in, or we can start?
Let's start.
Let's
have
start.
Limited time. Let's start. Thank you.
So the topic is food and habits in general. But first of all, where is Hungary? So it is a USA state, or it might be in Europe or somewhere in the Indian Ocean. You had a very short amount of time. Yeah, you got it quite well, and I'm glad to hear that. So it's a Central European country. It's quite small, 10 million people approximately, and it's just as part of the European Union as Poland. So we can go to some food topics. The goulash. Is it something similar than what we have in Poland, or it's an absolutely different dish? You have almost 5 seconds left, and the picture may help. Yes, so the Hungarian goulash is quite famous actually, but I think that was the original. I don't know the origin of the Polish, but it's not like that. It has a lot of paprika, that's red chili powder that we put in a lot, and then that what gives the taste and the color. So it is not a dessert and it's not a stew. It is more like a soup with vegetables, and it's very, very tasty. So whenever you come to Hungary, you should try it because it's really good. And you can feel that it's not something like the Polish goulash. Actually, the whole base of the soup, the pork grease, some onions, and this red paprika, and this is the mixture. This is a base of many of our dishes. So it can be a help in the following questions. So what do we use the most? And you have half minute for that because a few other kitchens are included. Take your time. And you can also think of the other ones, which nations' kitchens are the other ingredients. So, yes, very good. I just mentioned it, so most of you got the basis of our food. And we took actually from the Turkish Empire, because when Hungary was divided to 3 parts during our history, we took many culinary habits from the Turks, from the Turkish people, and then it developed and became our main part of culinary. So, okay, Lucis, you are leading, but I think you've already seen it. So, but what other cultures affected us? Maybe you have a minute for this because it can be tricky. Chinese immigrants or Mexican farmers, but let you think. Yes, so the right answer was the Ottoman Empire and the soldiers of them, because as I mentioned, almost for 100 years it has been occupied, or it has been under the Turkish Empire, and because of their religion, the Islamic, they cannot eat pig. So whenever they came to take all the food or the goods that the farmers had, they always left the pigs because they could not eat those. So that's why many of our dishes based on pork meat or pork grease, because that's what we've left with, and then that's what we could eat. So that's how the Ottoman Empire infected our eating habits, and obviously not the Chinese or the Mexicans. So let's go to the next question. It is the multi-select, so you have more answers that are correct. How many times do we eat a day? 2, 3, 4, 5. You have a minute to decide, but more answers are good.
Also, the face on the bread is super fun.
So take your answers, it's almost over. But obviously 2 would be not enough, but all the others are correct. So it really not depends, it doesn't depend on the whole country, it depends by family. So it's for the people how they choose, but most often it is either 4 meals a day or 3, and there is a second breakfast in the middle of the normal breakfast and the lunch. So that would be like the best answer, but also 5 times a day that also happens, mostly on the weekends when families together, they have time for each other, they have time to eat, to cook. So it can happen. And usually from these meals, at least 1 or rather 2 are warm. So the dinner is usually warm, something a soup or not so heavy dish, but still warm. And then there's a true or false question that's really quick. We only eat sweets we don't have ice cream and cold stuff. Is it true or false? Yeah, it's false. We do have ice cream. We have a lot of cold desserts that you need to put in the fridge, and it's nice when it's cooled down. But it was just a pop-up if you're still with us. But the next question is also related to desserts. Typical Hungarian food, actually called chimney cake in English, so the Hungarian translation. But it can be a rock band or it's nothing. What do you think? 2, 1. So yes, it is a sweet dish as you've seen on the picture, and it is actually from Transylvania. So the original is from Romania. When the Hungary was a lot larger country than now, we had those territories from Transylvania, a bit of Slovakia, Croatia, but after the First World War, it was separated into the countries that you see now on the map. But anyways, the chimney cake is traditionally from Transylvania, and it is a cake that is rolled up on a pole and then traditionally grilled on fire. And the best taste is when the sugar caramelizes and then it's crispy and soft inside. That's maybe it's in Poland as well. I don't know, but it's from Hungary. You should know, and it's really good. So try it out. Alexandra is winning so far, but we have a few questions still. We have the best food with poppy seed. Poppy seed is this plant that little black seeds. Maybe you should think over what we use it for, because the opium, a drug, is also made out of this plant. So it might not be legal, or it's something very popular. Yes, so it is legal, and I hear from many immigrants to the USA or to other European countries from Hungary, they miss it a lot, because normally you cannot enter with poppy seed to, for example, to the US, because it's forbidden, because they think you can make drugs out of it or something. But anyways, Mákos guba is actually made out of rogals. So the bread, the rogal is grilled, and then with this poppy seed and with some milk, it just mixed together. It's something very simple, but the taste is the better. So it's just something fun fact. And then we have drinks at the end, and still several answers good. So which one is from Hungary? What do you think? You have just only 20 seconds. So the things that you could heard of, it might be from Hungary. So yes, it was, all the answers were correct. The unicum is something very unique. It is like Jägermeister, but Hungarian. It is also with herbs and plants that are mixed together and cooked together, and then it is a quite strong alcohol, but it is a medicine. It has some medical effects. Palinka is like vodka, but with fruits. So it is traditional, made out of fruits, very the better quality of the fruit can lead to a better quality palinka, but it is very strong. So it's one of the strongest alcohol. but wine from the hills of Tokaj. Tokaj is a UNESCO reservation because of its hills and vineyards. Traditionally, it's one of the northest places you can find grapes still in Europe, but it's very sweet. So it's traditionally an area for desert wines, very sweet wines. And the mineral water, we have a lot of different types of fountains, natural parts where just water comes up from the ground and is full of minerals, and it's very healthy to drink. But it was one of the first countries that just actually bottled these good thermal waters and sold it in the market. So that's why I've put it in. But whenever you can or you find in the shops, Hungarian wines are very good, and especially the wines from Tokaj. If you want something strong, you should try Unicum or Palinka, but I recommend. But then we have another question. Is it true or false? Just a very quick question. Yeah, so it is not that strong. Or maybe it can be that strong, but usually it's around 40 or 50%, because at 75 you can barely drink it, and then you don't feel the taste of the fruit. So it's basically somehow you should feel the taste and not just the alcohol. So that's why they don't make it for 75%. But it is strong, and seems like Alexandra is winning so far, because we have the last question. Is it true? No, it's not true or false, but what do you think about the statement that unicum has been a medicine against plague? Plague is a illness that was very huge pandemic during the medieval ages, but what did they think about the unicum? So as I've mentioned it, yes, it has a strong antiseptic effect, and it is not that strong that people would die from drinking it, but it is recommended not to drink too much, because it is kind of acidy, and it's not the best for the health benefits if you drink a big amount of it. But anyways, it wasn't effect against the plague, but they sold it better with the marketing and stuff. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed. That was my last episode, and we can go back to the.
So does anyone maybe have any questions?
Also, thank you very much, Gergely. That was extremely interesting. Now I know that unicum was actually used for antiseptic effect. So it is very interesting to see the medical effects of unicum, which is also very well known in Italy. It's pretty common. You can stop sharing the screen, of course. Down below, there's the specific button. In the meantime, we completely ran out of time, so you have only a couple of minutes to tell us or tell him if you have any questions. And in the meantime, I can thank again all the students that participated in this. Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Benjamin. And thank you, Gergo, for your presentation. All of them were extremely interesting. As Anna says, all the presentation were extremely, just stole the words from my mouth. And thank you for your time and sharing. Thank you very much. It was extremely interesting. And thanks all of who stayed with us and joined us into this interesting trip about other people cultures. And I really hope we will see you again soon. And that is basically it. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you for participating today. Have a nice day. Have a nice rest of the week. And yeah, have a nice everything. Have a nice weather as well.
Oh, and in the meantime, I just have a very, very fast question, which is you share with us the chimney cake. I know that this is a very similar one, which is called trdlo in Czech Republic, which is the real origin of it. Are you sure? Is it
okay.
Hungarian?
I don't know now. I'm not so sure, but we've always thought that it's from us. But you know, it's just only the matter of the point of view.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much again.
Mhm.
All right, guys. I think we will close.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hungarian one is the Transylvania. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bartosz.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye,
Goodbye,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.